welcome back to our podcast. My name is Reza-Astrid.
And I'm Sakeenah.
And this is Similarly Opposite, the podcast. A regular on this podcast, and you would know the dealio. We're just two friends having a chat. So Sakeenah, you look very, very tired today. What's going on? What's up? How are you doing? How are you feeling right now?
I'm good. I just had the matric valedictory and I was in charge of photos. No. So I'm just importing the photos now. Hold on. Literally importing the photos now because we just had it and I had a full day of work. So I'm very tired. This week has just been exhausting, like beyond compare. Like I'm so sleepy. But I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Today is the second last day of my week holiday. And I woke up really late and just had a lie in and a chill. I went to bed at like 2 a.m. because I was on TikTok.
I saw.
And
I know.
It's so bad. It's so bad. I literally had to like remove myself from TikTok just to go to bed. But then I woke up back at 8. So I'm still on like high energies, but I know I'm probably gonna crash and burn in a couple of hours. But so far so good. And now I am in Wellington. So all good on my side. Speaking about valedictory, can you remember your valedictory?
Of course, definitely. I know all the songs we sang. I know what to sing.
What songs did you sing?
No, we sing hymns. So like this tradition, like God Bless Africa. And then there's like In the Morning of My Life. It's a great song. It's like in the morning of my life, I would look to the sunshine. And it's like talks about like all the opportunities that like will arise. And then they say, okay, you're now in the like midday of your life. And then they said, if I'm in the evening of my life, will I look back and will I be pleased with the things I've done and accomplished and whatever. So now you're like at the end of the school journey. So like, are you pleased with your like whatever? Yeah, so we do that and then we sing the Lord's Prayer and then that's it. And the anthem. Maybe.
Do you guys have
but also do that.
Do you have a fun version of valedictory, like where you guys do fun things?
What do you mean?
I don't remember us having a serious valedictory, but I do remember us having like everyone who wanted to like perform or do something silly or fun. Then we did that. I don't know.
We have matric assembly.
Yeah.
Like the prefix would run, which would be like fun, lol. But it's like valedictory is like Cardia music.
Oh, no, I don't think we had
walks in their robes and their degrees across them.
Oh no, we definitely didn't have
that. Down and we got good morning. Okay, we'll start with.
But your school is bougie.
But our school's on the same level.
That's true, but I don't remember us doing something like that. Maybe they did, and I just
didn't go to yours.
No, I definitely had to go because I'll ask Auntie Evie, because Auntie Evie was here and she probably did all of that with me. My parents were in South Africa. I'll ask Auntie Evie if we had like a proper. I do remember on the fun valedictory, my friends and I, 3 friends and I, we learned the Mean Girl dance. Yes. And we learned that in 3 days. And then we had to perform it in front of the whole school. Highlight of my school career. It was so much fun. Every year that video it pops up on my memories on Facebook and I just can myself. It's so funny.
Definitely need to share it though.
Yeah. In 2022 I'll share it because then it's 10 years since we've been in matric. How insane.
That's insane. Like I was talking to my grade 9s and I co-teach at the moment. And the other teacher was like, yeah, so when I was in matric in 2001, I said, I was in grade 1 and you were celebrating.
Was born in 2001.
Matric dance. So all the kids also like, you guys 12 years apart. I'm like, apparently, who knew? Not me. What the heck? That's so insane. But it's like, I also saw this other thing. Sorry. It was like, you go to, as a teacher, as a first year teacher, you go to school and you end up being like besties with a 60-year-old. Like,
so true.
Bizarre.
Because when I started working, I was 21 and everyone was in their 40s or like late 30s. I was like, what? And at the same time, they still treated me like an equal. Like they didn't look down on me or anything, which I think is really cool. And even now, like my colleague, she's exactly 20 years older than me. exactly. And we're like best buds. We're like besties. We make jokes all the time, and like she shares her story, her life stories and stuff. She's like, oh, when I was 25, but not in like a condescending way, but just genuinely, when I was 25 and you're 20. It's just every time I make fun, I'm like, Helen, you do know that you're 20 years older than me. And she's like,
I was talking to this kid, and she's like, no, my mom's like 50. I'm like, your mother and my mother is the same age. And he was like, what? Like his parents in my class is older than my parents. Like by 10 years, like these 63-year-olds with 13-year-olds.
Oh my word.
And you're like, it's weird, it's bizarre.
I feel like when you're younger, age is such a big thing. But as you grow older, you're like, oh, you know.
No, I don't think so, because it's the old people. We had a conversation now. But it's the old people in my like staff that talk about age, not us.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
So I don't think it is a young people thing.
That's true.
Necessarily. Yeah.
Very interesting. Why do you have all those Kit Kats next to you? You know I love Kit Kats.
I don't know how you can see it. So I'm giving a Kit Kat and a Super C to every child for the exams.
Oh, that's adorable.
Supported. So I need to like wrap it and whatever. I don't know, you can see it. That's so awkward.
I need to grab a tissue. Just hold 2 seconds.
It's a bright time. It's a bright time.
To rock the night away. How's your week been? Other than today, how was your week so far?
I can't remember it, to be honest with you. My week has been good. Oh wait, no, I can't remember. I spent the first 2 days, one day with you, and then I went out with another friend. We went for sunset and we went for supper, and then we like drove around, listened to music. It was great, honestly. 10 out of 10 recommend. And then yesterday we had family supper. It was like the Prophet's birthday. And then, yeah, today was valedictory. And this weekend I just want to sleep. I don't do anything besides sleeping.
Sounds like a good plan, honestly.
How was your leave? Did you do anything with it? Like, are you still blowing your nose? Please blow your nose, please.
I need to go buy allergy medicine. My week was amazing. It was such a good week. I'm so happy that I took this week off, and that's like genuine. Like I know my voice is high pitched and everything, but I'm genuinely happy that I had this week off. I started off the week by seeing you and your family, and like we had Korean food twice at 2 different places, and I still think the OG Korean place is the best. And then I came home on Tuesday morning. I went for a walk with a friend of mine in the nature reserve. So peaceful, so relaxing, so calming.
Yeah.
We did the Sugarbird walk, and so the next time you come, we should go to the nature reserve. It's like 25 rand.
I've never been.
Huh?
I've never been.
Okay, well, we're going next time. Now we know what we need to do when you come, because we never can think. We should do that.
Yeah.
And then after the nature reserve, I went home and I just relaxed. I took such a fat nap on my couch. Why do we call it a fat nap? I don't know. I took a long nap on my couch. And then the evening, I had a movie night, an outside movie night with 2 of my other friends, Megan and Ryan. It was so good to see them because we hadn't seen each other for 7 months, and we've been trying to plan to see each other, so that was really, really nice. And then on Wednesday I went for waffles with Megan's sister Catherine, and then after that I went home, had nothing else planned. And then yesterday I went for supper at a family friend's house. I've seen a lot of people this week. It is insane how many people I saw this week. But yeah, and now it's Friday and I feel rejuvenated. I feel well rested. And I need like 2 more days, but it's okay. It's fine. I have tomorrow off as well. But it was really a nice proper holiday. So I'm really
yeah, always good. Yeah, that's cool. What's our topic today? What do you want it to be? I
I
came up
wanted
with
to
last
ask
week.
you, did you see anything on the internet this past week before we move on?
I probably did, but now when you ask, I can't ever remember.
We need to write these things down.
No, because it's on my phone and I'm filming on my phone. So I always like record things on my phone. What did I see this week? I watched a lot of TikTok, so I've been a bit of an emotion, like a brain overload.
I feel like we should redo this episode because it's so all over the place.
I'm so tired. No, we can't. Yeah, last week I brought the energy. I need you to balance.
So TikTok. I have a question regarding TikTok because I know that's like your number one app at the moment. For me, how do you manage the up and down emotions on TikTok? For example, you'll see a really funny video, then you scroll to the next video, then it's a really sad video. Then you scroll to the next one, then it's a very informative video. Then you scroll to the next one, then it's a dance video. Then you scroll to the next one, then it's emotional again. And then you scroll again, then it's like a funny thing. There's no order. There's no set of what you're going to get next. And for me personally, I don't really enjoy that part of TikTok, is the fact that I don't know what's going to happen next. So that uncertainty and that like my emotions just switch like this. Whereas if I'm watching a YouTube video, I know what I've clicked on and I kind of sort of know what they're going to talk about. Or if I'm like watching a series, I kind of know, okay, this is a comedy, this is a romance, this is, I'm going to cry, whatever. So that's the only thing that I'm struggling with TikTok at the moment. It's just that mixture of bam, bam, and everything is bam, 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 bam. Like, it's just, my emotions can't deal
with ups and downs.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically that's the beauty of TikTok for me, I feel like. Because you never know what you're going to get. But also, I don't get emotionally invested in anything because they're only going to be on my screen for a maximum of 60 seconds. So why am I getting emotionally attached to other people's lives? Like, cool, share a sad story, share a happy story, share something informative. Great, thanks for your 60 seconds. Scroll up. Like,
I don't even watch the sad stuff because I'm like, I don't have time for this. If someone
hear that song, you're like,
you like watching sad stuff and then you'll send it to me. I'm like, I'm not going to watch a sad thing. I don't want to be sad right now. And that's the thing. Sometimes I don't want to be sad.
Like, you don't have to be sad. It's their sadness. Why are you internalizing it?
But that's just who I am, Sakeenah. It's who I am.
No, it's exhausting.
At the moment, because I'm
sorry for you.
Huh?
Move on. Like, sorry for you. I'm sorry that happened, but then you move on.
I know. And also because I've liked now a lot of BTS Korean stuff at the moment. That's all I'm seeing. And I'm getting like, I'm frustrated.
All you're sending to me. That's all you're sending to me.
It's really interesting, but I'm getting tired of it. How do I switch it up?
You like other content.
But there is no other content coming up. If it's not a BTS video, then it's a Korean food video. If it's not a Korean food video, it's a Korean language video. It's not a Korean language
everything I send to you, just like it. People. So everything I send to you, just like it, and then it'll filter your stuff back.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Another thing I found on the internet, I think I was reading a blog post, and this lady said her favorite saying at the moment comes from this specific poem, and the poem is called "The Orange" by Wendy Cope. Have you heard of it before? I'd never heard of it, but it's really short, so I wanted to read it to you. The orange. At lunchtime, I bought a huge orange. The size of it made us all laugh. I peeled it and shared it with Robert and Dave. They got quarters and I had a half. And that orange, it made me so happy. As ordinary things often do, just lately, the shopping, a walk in the park, this is peace and contentment, it's new. The rest of the day was quite easy. I did all the jobs on my list and I enjoyed them and I had some time over. I love you. I'm glad I exist. That's all. And I really enjoyed this poem because, again, and I think it's something that I've been mentioning a lot for the past few weeks, it's just enjoying the ordinary things. And appreciate. Huh?
Is that like post about it? Like, enjoy your cup of coffee in the morning.
Yes.
Enjoy the breaks.
It was just so comforting to read that poem, and especially that last line, I love you. You always automatically think the person's talking like to someone, like I love you, Sakeenah. But in this poem, she's saying, I love you as in you is her. I'm glad I exist. And I just thought that was so beautiful. Like, just to enjoy, you know, the oranges, the shopping, the mundane things on the jobs on your list. But at the same time, recognizing who you are in that moment and in that space, and loving that person and loving your existence in that moment. I just thought it was so beautiful.
That's cute.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say, it's not something I found on the internet, but last night, if you looked up at the moon, next to the moon, there was like a star. Why are you laughing?
Isn't it a full moon tonight?
No, listen, next to the moon last night, it was a star. That star wasn't actually a star, it was Mars. Then if you looked over your head and you followed the line, you could see Jupiter and Saturn as well. And I got to see it, and I was living my best life, and I was like, wow, this is great.
Sakeenah, do you know what this is?
What?
Do you know what this is?
A phone no, I don't know what that is. For everyone who's just listening, it's a cell phone. She showed me.
That's amazing.
That's all Mars and Jupiter and Saturn, and it was.
Well, we've seen Mars before, haven't we?
Yeah, but like you could see it again. It comes out every year.
That was.
That was cool because I looked up and I was like, if Mars is there, they're all going to follow the same line. And I took out my app and then I pointed it up in the sky. I was like, Mom!
You should be an astronomist. Is that what it's called?
Astronomer. I wanted to be an astronaut.
No, you can still become one.
No, I'm too old. Even the astronaut told me I'm too old last year.
But you can become
But then I was like, I was so cute. I was like, let me tell my kids about it because you're doing space. Then I like put that. I was like, hey, if you're not sleeping, back off was 8. I was like, hey.
So you tell them, but you don't tell me, your friend.
I mean, how do I know you're interested? You know.
How dare you? Hoe durf jy, as they would say in Afrikaans. Anywho.
So that's last night. I hate this piece of hair. It's just.
It's fine. There's always a piece of hair that you don't like that sticks out. Always. Anywho, last week we hinted that we wanted to talk a bit about our budget and how we budget for our overseas international trips. I have to admit, I did no planning. I didn't sit down and actually look at it, but it's all up here in our noggins, so I think it should be fine. So, Sakeenah, how do we budget for our trips? Or how do you budget for your trip?
Okay, so I was in all our travels. I was a student, and that means I had no money. I still don't have any money. Nothing has changed.
Wait. I'm going to stop you right there. So last night I was at supper with a family friend and we spoke about this. Stop saying you don't have any money. You're speaking that into existence. Stop it.
Apparently I had no money. That's the fact.
No, but don't say it like that because money is coming. Tomorrow you get paid.
Not that I will never have money. I will be comfortable. I'm not denying that.
Okay.
But I have, present tense, no money. Simple. That's how it is, you know? So obviously traveling would be quite difficult, and people expect it to be difficult, obviously. And I wasn't blessed with being able to like travel internationally before 2015. Because it was just never a thing. So what I did was, I had, spending my money on the wrong thing. I saved a lot of the money that I got given for like necessities, textbooks, all of that stuff. I didn't buy one textbook throughout my degree. Never bought one textbook book. Saved all that money, and then we kind of like planned in advance, like far in advance. Like we planned like a year in advance for the next trip. So then like in next 3 months we bought like our plane tickets. We had enough money for the plane tickets. So we had our tickets sorted. That's all we had to have sorted. Then slowly as money came, we like look at your options in like booking.com, Airbnb, all your options. Like you don't only have to go to a 5-star resort. Look at all your options. Again, what's budget friendly and what looks clean and nice and wonderful, and then choose that. And I will also say that I don't know if a lot of people know, but like when we go on Operation Smile missions and stuff like that, that's fully sponsored. You just have to pay for your own food, which is quite accessible and easy enough to do. And then for the European trip that we did last year, that was mostly sponsored, like 90%, 80% sponsored by like your parents. So I didn't have to pay for that either. But then I did have extra money. When I managed to have extra money, I like took my brother with on these trips and stuff. So I mean, it's a slow burner. I don't have anything to say, but like, do what you can. If you can, if you can't, you can't. Like, you have to don't take out a loan to go to Thailand or Bali. It's still gonna do that debt.
We've never done that.
We've never done that.
We've never done that.
But my friend took out a loan to go on holiday, and he still has debt. Like, are you mad? It's not a necessity. Unless you have a family member dying in Thailand, you don't need to do that. I'm sorry. No.
That's like the number one tip. Like, don't spend money you don't have. I think also way before we budget, we first check like which country we're going to, and we always choose a country that is relatively inexpensive regarding like exchange rates, flights, and all that. So there's always a list of like 5 countries we really want to go to, and then as we look at which country we can go to, we kind of like budget as, okay, how much is flights? If flights is 20k, we would rather go to a place where the flights is 8k, because then you have 12k for everything else. Then you spend 20k on your whole holiday, instead of spending, you know, a big budget on just flights, and then you have to eat ramen noodles. Because I remember we were coming back from Azerbaijan, which was a fairly inexpensive trip, I would say. I mean, the flights are not that expensive. The visa, did we need a visa? Yes, we needed the visa. Wasn't that expensive, but we needed to get shots. That was extra money. Or did we need? I can't remember. But anywho, I remember we were in the Johannesburg airport, I think it was, and we were coming back. Were we in Johannesburg? We were at Turkey airport. Yeah, flying back to Cape Town, and we were in a line with obviously a lot of other South Africans. Our least favorite tourists is South Africans, and we were standing behind a couple who they were chatting about how they had gone to Europe, and they did like a full trip in Europe, but all they could eat the whole trip was bread and cheese from the corner store. They couldn't even really enjoy their holiday. And for us, what's important for us when we go overseas is eating and doing adventures and going maybe on certain day trips or certain museums. So that also determines what you budget on. So if you're someone who doesn't really care about food, you won't mind going to the grocery store and buying food and then eating that.
Which we also don't mind, but there needs to be a balance between the lifestyle that you want to live and the experiences you want to experience. Exactly. Versus just saying, oh, I was in Rome, but I didn't particularly have a good time because I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, because I was stressing about money the whole time.
Which is not the greatest thing to do. And like we said, Azerbaijan was like relatively inexpensive. I mean, relatively compared to other things, the exchange rate is still R8, but their food is very cheap. And like we spoiled ourselves, yes, like you heard. But we also just ate shawarma, which is 15 Rand for a meal kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So you do get a balance out of them. And I think also like what's nice is that like we went to Azerbaijan and we planned. So I still have a book. So we obviously like, there's a website you can go on that says like living expenses.
Oh, that's the best. I was going to tell you to talk about that. Yeah, that's
so like living expenses like in Tokyo, and like my baseline, because of something else that I heard, but my baseline is how much does a McDonald's meal cost, right? Because over here it's like 50-60 Rand, and then over there whatever, just convert the currency, and that should give you a pretty good idea of how expensive food is. Because McDonald's is known as fast food, cheap food. McDonald's also everywhere besides Madagascar. So like check whatever your baseline is. Don't make your baseline water, because water varies so much. And like look at like your average food, your like food that you can identify with, and that would be your baseline on where to judge things. So that's also cool. So also for Azerbaijan is like we knew we wanted to see maybe 10 sites, like 10 adventure places. And we were like, okay, this place would be like 300 rand, this place would be 50 rand, this place would be 200 rand. And then when we actually got into Azerbaijan, we were just walking in like the old city, and a tour group like approached us and they were like, can we interest you in these things? And then we went through the list of those things. They were like, well, if this tour is going to give me 6 out of those things that I wanted to see, it cost 800 rand, plus you get lunch, it is worth it, because going individually to be your taxi ride, your engine fee, you had no person talking you through the sites,
no food,
and all of that. So like no food, so you have to like juggle out the pros and cons of like where you're also going to spend your money. And I think what's also nice, like because we travel, I've only traveled with you, but like we travel so often together, I wanted to say is that like we kind of also know where each other's budget kind of is, and we plan for that. So we're like, okay, so how much are you willing to like take on like spending money?
Yeah.
Because what you do with your spending money is your own business, but when we can like compromise and like see, okay, we can go here for dinner, here for lunch, whatever.
And also,
so that's also cool.
Yeah, also knowing what your friend who you're traveling with budget, just knowing how much you have and being like, okay, if you're going to take so much, I'll take the exact same amount. But like Sakeenah says, we could both be taking the exact same amount, which has happened in lots of our trips, where Sakeenah will say, this is how much I'm taking. So I'm like, okay, I'll also take that. And then we end up spending it completely different because we have completely different budgetary needs, things we want to buy, things we want to shop for, and that's okay. And like, it's not the reason I asked Sakeenah like how much are you taking is not so that I can be like tell her what to do with the money, but more so it gives me a basis as well that I shouldn't try and go overboard when there's no need to go overboard, if that makes sense. And I think for a lot of things,
but also like we can share food.
Yes, because we're good friends. Like we share food. We don't mind. Yeah, we don't mind sharing food. I was going to say we don't mind borrowing each other's money, but we've never done that before. Maybe like...
No, but like, for example, like, so in some countries you'd have like more money left over than what I did, and I would have more money left over than you did. And then like, I remember you sitting on the bed in Zanzibar and like counting your money and you're like, where's all my money gone? Like, what did I spend it on, kind of a thing. And I'm like, well, I still have money. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, don't worry about it, sweetheart. Don't worry.
I'm buying you supper.
Yeah.
So it's chill.
Yeah, so I think when it comes to budgeting, I definitely, the first thing that we try to buy and get out of the way is plane ticket, because that's like your biggest expense. Or at least for us, that's our biggest expense, because we don't mind like where we live or where we stay. And we don't want 5 stars, so that doesn't need to be booked really far in advance. But then as soon as the plane ticket is booked, we're able to then start looking at where we want to stay, where everything's close nearby to, and so forth. And then after that, we book our accommodation. And again, we're very flexible, where we love hostels. I love a hostel.
But it also like varies. So like where we've lived is very different.
Yes, that's so true. But I mean, again, it's dependent on the place you're going to and who you're going with, and why you're going and how long you're going for.
Like, I would never live in a hostel in like Joburg.
Yes, no. And that's also where it comes, where you need to Google everything. Google is your best. As soon as you actually, before you get to budgeting, as soon as you know which country you're going to, you actually need to decide, you actually need to Google as many blog posts and articles about that place. And blogs as you can, because those are the information that you need to tell you, don't stay at a hostel in this country, definitely stay at an Airbnb, or do this, or definitely do that. So it's things like that that you need to think about. Oh, she's showing me something very weird. So yeah, and that's the thing when it comes to budgeting. Everything is just so unique to you as a person. But I think for me, when I think about a trip, like for example, and it's something that you've told me before, and I was like, what? But when I go to the mall or to a travel agency and I see like a Kentucky tour is 30K, and then you must still buy like 12K on your flight, I'm like, I would never. But then you said the other day, you're like, but Reza, if you really think about how much money you spent when you go overseas on your plane ticket, your accommodation, you know, your
trains, your
cars, everything. At the end of the day, it does end up being a really big amount. But I don't like, when I think about like planning for a trip and budgeting for a trip, I like doing it in steps. I don't like being like, okay, I need to pay this bulk amount, because I never have, that's the thing. I never have a bulk amount to give. I have certain amount of money always saved for plane tickets. So I have that money and that's about it, you know? So I don't know. I think budgeting is different for everyone. But for me personally, the money that I take with to go like on a trip with, food is the one expense that I don't mind eating grocery food or eating shawarmas every day for 3 meals a day. I don't mind that. And maybe having one big meal, I don't mind that. That's me personally. Things I'll spend money on any day is museums, adventures, like going out. I like going out, meeting people, things like that. But food, that's like it's the one thing that I can really skimp on. What about you? What are your like
my must
place?
What?
When you're in the country, what do you spend more of your money on? Oh, and also I don't buy expensive gifts for people. The most expensive gift I'll buy you is a fridge magnet. That's all you're getting from me. I'm sorry. And I don't have any like really close, like I'm not dating anyone. I'm not gonna buy like a boyfriend and my best friend, she's with me, so I'll buy her a meal, or I'll be like, I'll buy you that shirt or something, but I don't necessarily have to buy anything.
Yeah. So I'm like really bad. Okay. So like I am the opposite, because I'm really bad at not spending money on myself. I mean, I'm really bad at spending money on myself. So I never actually buy myself anything. Bought myself one thing on our last trip, and that is like my pride and joy. Lipstick, calm down. So I don't know. I think I spend a lot of money on gifts. A lot of money.
You used to. You're not doing it anymore.
I'm not doing it anymore because no one has funded this. No. So I spend a lot of money on presents, and I think I spend a lot of money on food when we go out. Because whether you're with me or not, lol. But like even throughout, like historically throughout our like travels, Madagascar, you were like, I'm gonna have sleep for supper. I'm gonna go sleep now. And I went out with like Filana and Sarubidi. So we ate it at like.
You value food a lot when you go, but also at the same time, we have to remember that a lot of times you have to buy food, or you have to go out of your way to buy more expensive food because you're halal and vegetarian and you can't just eat anything. I can literally eat anything.
Yeah, but I don't value food a lot. I'm very safe in my food choices when I do.
You like eating good food. You don't like eating.
What?
You're not going to eat a shawarma 3 times a day.
Because it's boring. That's my thing. It's boring. Like you went into going with us, they needed. I went to a restaurant and we sat and we ate food. Like, so I think I spend a lot of money on like adventures and stuff. Like obviously we'll spend the same amount because it's mostly the same adventures. And then I'll spend a lot of money on presents and like food. I don't want to. My thing is at the end of the day, I don't want to eat cracker snack if I don't have to eat cracker snack. Like I want to like sit at a restaurant, eat at a restaurant, not hold a shawarma in my hand while I'm walking around. Like that's not a meal for me. It doesn't clock in my brain as a meal. It clocks in my brain as like a garage pie. I'm not gonna eat a garage pie for supper unless I'm sat down at the table with a garage pie in a plate.
I've never thought of it that way.
Don't register it as a meal. So
we're so different. Oh my god.
Yeah, like you'd spend money on like a jersey or like.
But also, I have like a mini fear that I'm gonna run out of money, and that's why I'm always so conscious about how I spend my money on food, at least. Like with clothes and stuff, I usually buy that towards the end of the trip. But I'm always so conscious. I'm like, oh my goodness, what if I run out of money, or so I'm like, oh, I can't spend too much money on this because then I don't have money for that, and it's just a bad habit.
I don't want to come home with any of that money.
And I always come home with like at least like some coins or something.
What's the point? Like coins, I understand, but what's the point coming home with a manat? Where am I going to spend it? No way. I bought this lipstick that I'm wearing right now. This lipstick that I'm wearing costed me 1 manat, which means 8 rand. And I'm still wearing it. Like, I want to spend all my money because I budgeted for it. I think it's a control thing, maybe. But I don't see the point of bringing it back home because I never know if I'm going back.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we should ask the audience and we will also put up a Q&A poll on our Instagram page.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And you can do it here above on our asking thing. But I wanted to ask, is there any other questions, traveling budget questions you may have, even specific to the country? I know each country is a bit different, but if you have any questions regarding budgeting and money and how to exchange money and so forth, that's always a big stressor, then please let us know and we'll get back to you.
Also, just as a last round point, is that I heard. Come
say hello. She can't see you. Come here. Say hello.
Hello.
Just hold on.
So like as a roundabout, we spend the same amount of money for every country. Like we end up spending the same amount, no matter where we go, whether we go to a village or whether we go to Europe, we spend the same amount of money. And that would be around how much money? 20?
I say 20K, yeah.
Around 20,000 rand per trip. So that's flights included, accommodation included, adventures included.
Wait, but then like look at Smile missions, I would say
1,000 rand.
Yeah, 1,000 rand. I think we take 3,000 rand.
Yeah, like 3,000 rand, but at the same time we purchase a lot of things here to take there. Yeah. So if you include that, probably like 7K, 7,000 rand.
It's different for every country, and you just need to like determine how much money you can spend and how you want to spend the money that you have.
What your needs are.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's cheaper traveling internationally than locally.
And that's a different conversation that we should be having as well. Why we haven't traveled locally, but we've traveled internationally.
I've traveled locally. You've traveled locally.
Yeah, but not a lot. Anywho, thank you so much for watching this episode. We'll see you on the next one. Bye. Bye. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I thought you were going to say that, but then you didn't.